This is our lunch chat, and I hope you're enjoying your lunch. And this is our gratitude month. I just like to think about all the things that there are to be thankful for. So can you just unmute your mics for a second and give me one thing you're thankful for? I've already heard one. It's Friday. What else?
Besides it being Friday, thankful for now that we have been able to be in person in school in Jefferson County for as long as we have. And I know it's forever changing, but the time that we've got face to face with a lot of our students, that's really huge to me.
I agree. And for being healthy, especially being back in the building, being able to stay in the building, I am thankful for continuing to be healthy while we're here. So, and hope and pray that continues. And also for the nice weather, like it is beautiful
County, we have gotten most of our IEP meetings and targeted review meetings done. So we've been just steadily, finally able to actually see kids and do therapy. So I've been pretty happy about that.
All right, anybody else? Okay, well, I'm grateful that you all are here. I'm so thankful that you guys are supervising your SLPAs and CFYs, because, without that, we couldn't grow our bunch. So thank you all again for all you do. Today, we're going to talk about the direct observations of students assigned to the SLPA. I'm going to talk briefly about what the SLPA's side, so that you can kind of know and check on them and make sure that they're not having any problems turning in their assignments and adding their information to their class notebooks. We're going to talk briefly about supervision plans, the modules, and then any feedback or questions that you have. So just remember that the purpose of our teams was to have better communication and a place where you can find information. But for the SLPAs, it's also a place where they can store all their required forms. Not just this year, but next year and the years to come, because it's a huge, I think it's an endless storage. So I hope you'll encourage your SLPAs to use their team to store all their documentation. And apologize to them. I hate that it's called a class notebook for them and that there are things called assignments, but that is the only way that we could be able to have submissions from individuals and them not be shared with everybody else. So, if they're ever saying to you, geez, I feel like I'm a student or I feel like I'm less than, that is not the intent. And if you can reinforce that the reason we're doing that is just because that's the only format we could use for them to be able to have their own little private section. And so I know with this new guidance document, we have a lot of new paperwork and we have a lot of new questions. And sometimes it's like, geez, there's one more thing to do, especially now. It's like we didn't plan on bringing these things out, or we didn't plan on COVID when we planned on introducing the guidance document and the new forms. But there is a purpose to this next form we're going to talk about. And that is this periodic seeing all the students on the SLPA's caseload. And according to ASHA and our guidance document, you still are responsible for their caseload. So it makes sense that you want to occasionally eyeball everybody because you're signing off on their progress reports and you are still ultimately responsible. And so in ASHA, they recommend for an SLPA that at least every 60 calendar days, the supervising SLP sees all the patients or clients or students on the SLPA's caseload. Instead of doing it every 60 days, we just, in the guidance document, made it every progress reporting period time, which kind of makes sense if you're going to be looking at the progress and reviewing the progress, that you have a face to go along with that. And so just to bear in mind that at the end of the year, when the verification reports are turned in, this form is one of the things that also has to be turned in. And there will be a place on the new verification form where you actually check off that you've attached and then you attach the direct observations of students assigned to the SLPA. And so basically on this form, you have a column for the student, and since it's going to be sent to us, you would use their initials, their grade, and in the comments, you could do things to help yourself remember, or you can indicate a school or something to help jog everybody's memory in case there's lots of ESs or LTs or whatever. And what you would do after you've made or the SLPA has made that form, then you indicate, like for now, for this one that's due now, you would indicate under the direct column the date that you saw that student assigned, the student that was assigned to the SLPA. And then as far as the PR, that is the progress report, the date that you saw the progress report or you looked at it. Now, I want to point out that that doesn't mean you have to observe a whole session. Not at all. Let's say you're working with a kid who's working on R, and this is not one on the days that you're normally there that you haven't seen. Even if the SLPA can just briefly show you that student so that you can kind of hear where they are with their R, use your expertise and wisdom to make sure that they're on track. I mean, it can be 5 minutes as long as you feel comfortable that you have enough information through that observation of seeing that student and you feel comfortable signing off on the progress report. So just bear in mind, it doesn't have to be a whole session, but you would put the date that you eyeballed that student and the date that you looked at the progress report. And that's a lot of protection for you too, because someone might say, well, you're always here on Tuesdays, and the SLP sees my student on Wednesdays and Fridays, and so this is just a way to help you keep track that you're seeing all those students. It's not intended to make more work for you, but I think it's a way to kind of protect you as well. And so the second 9 weeks, you would do the same thing, and of course the third and the fourth. These are the dates that you want to mark. We tried to look at what is typically the progress reporting times. It's going to be slightly different in your counties depending upon when you started and when you ended the school year, except the last date, the 6/1, that's when you turn in your verification report. So that's going to be due anyway. I'm hoping that this first one, the one that's due next Friday, is pretty simple, because as the SLPA started their fall, or maybe started with the telepracticing and you wanted to see their first sessions, you can count those earlier dates. So you don't feel like you have to get it all in for next week. It's just for you to make sure that you eyeball the students. And I know when I used to supervise students, that typically we'd set a scheduled time and I would go and I would see those same students every time because that's the way the schedule worked. And so this is just kind of helping you rethink it. You might do it if you're doing 3 to 1, you might do it then. You might just set aside a time to just bring them in and move them in and just kind of, just making sure that you know who these students are and where they are. So those are the dates. They should follow along pretty closely to when your progress reports are due. Now, this is something that I'm having trouble with the SLPAs. And it's not, to make more work for them, but in the long run, they're going to end the year with all this stuff done, and it won't be like trying to find their certificates of attendance or getting this form completed. But on their team, they have a place to go to assignments, and then you can see the first assignment in the section 2 was the supervision plan. And now this one is the direct observations for students assigned to the SLPA. So that's where they find the information, and that's where they find the directions on what to do. Down at the bottom, they'll have the actual direct observation of students assigned, the actual form. They can download it right there. And then some of them are having a real difficult time scanning, like recording the information on a form and then scanning it. And so some of them are just not able to do that. So if they can't, because they don't have access to a scanner, or it's just a hard thing to do. I also have this first 9 weeks document, which is just a Word document. And it says, I confirm that I did this. We did it. We finished the first 9 weeks and it's completed. And the only reason that we're doing this is so that it's not May and they're coming to you and saying, we have to go through all of our records and figure out when you saw these students. So we're trying to keep, things current and kind of keep things moving along. So that's where they would find that information. And then what they do is they have to save it, whichever one they decide to do, and then they add their work to their assignment, and then they turn it in. So if they're saying to you they don't know how to do that, or it's not working, they have to remember that they add their work and they attach what they've done, whether it's going to be a copy of your first 9 weeks form or the simple Word document that I have, that all they have to do is download it, save it, and then attach it or add the work here. The other thing, the place where the online file is the class notebook. Now, you don't have that on your team, but they do. And so in their class notebook, this is this huge filing cabinet that lets them save everything from year to year. So they would go to the class notebook, and then they would click this thing. Sometimes they say, I can't get my class notebook. And that's because this is the form this is the little arrow that they need to click to get to their notebook. And then within that, they would only have their name. Of course, this is my view, so I have all the students' names. So they would click the completed, because there's already files for 2020, 2021, and 2022. They would click the completed one. Then they would click the form that they're going to submit or add to their notebook. And then they click within that document. That's something that they often forget. So you actually have your cursor active within the document. And then there's 2 things that they could do. If they have a scanner and they have an attachment in the form of a PDF, then what they would do is they do insert, and then the file, and then insert file printout. And the reason that we would do the printout is that it would actually show the document. If they do insert file attachment, it's just a link. So that's one way. And if they use their phones or they're not sure how to scan, access to a scanner, they can also put their form in this way through insert, and they can insert it from their camera, from a file, or from online. It doesn't matter, but what will appear in their notebook and will be there forever is a picture of this completed form. So I'm going to ask you if you have questions in a minute, but I just want to remind you that the supervision modules are up and moving right along. If you need any of those, just remember that you have to complete all 3 modules within 90 days of your registration. And here are the names of the modules. This is where you would register. And then when you've completed them, there is a link that you would join a survey to say that you've completed them so that we can get the ASHA certificate to you. And this is, if we are getting licensing board CEUs for today. And of course, this would also count for professional development. So this is the link for that, or the scanned information, and I'm going to end my presentation so that I can also paste this in the chat box. But before I end the presentation, did you have anything you wanted to see again in the PowerPoint? Were there any questions?
I have a couple questions.
Sure.
This is JC.
Hi, JC.
Actually, Rhea asked me to ask this. She was wondering if a student moves in to the county towards the end of a grading period and they're on the SLPA's caseload, do we have to provide supervision for that grading period, even though it is at the end, was her question.
The supervision for, you're not talking about this form, you're talking about supervision in general. Is that right?
I think she means like, do we have to get supervision for them in that grading period on that form?
You know what I would do there? Probably not. I would just put their name or their initials, at the bottom of that form and just put in that comments that they just moved in.
Okay, and my other question, that makes sense, thank you. My other question was kind of similar because we have a few kids who chose virtual learning at the beginning of the year, but have never logged in for a single session. I'm sure everybody's had a few of those. Should we just note that on the form too, if we haven't seen them because they've never logged in?
Yes, absolutely. That's where that little tiny comments box will be helpful for you to provide that kind of information.
Okay. All right. I think that was all of my questions.
Anybody else have questions before I turn this down?
Hi, this is Audrey again.
Hi,
I
Audrey.
just wanted to double check. I saw the supervision modules and it said must complete within 30 days of registration. For those, are those the things that we're required to do as supervisors? And if so, when do we have to have those completed?
Actually, it needs to be completed technically before you start supervising.
Okay. Okay. I knew I heard something about it, but I didn't quite I
Right.
guess there was a piece I missed there. So
Yeah.
I register and then complete them, all 3 of them.
Right.
Okay.
And, they recognize that the modules didn't go up until like September.
Okay.
And so, there's several people in that same boat as far as they're getting their supervision hours in right now. So don't worry about it. But yeah,
Okay.
you just register and don't feel bad about it. I mean, you've got.
Yeah, it was like there's just a piece I missed. I wrote it down in my notes somewhere, and then it just
Sure.
somehow got.
Yeah, if you need me to send you the, or Ashley, you probably have that letter that went out to the leads that has all that information on how to register and stuff. But
Yep,
if you need, Audrey, if you need me to send it, I'll be happy to.
I actually just took a quick picture of the supervision module, all of that information that you presented on the last slide so that I would have it. If that's how we do the registration process, then I'm good to go.
Yeah, I'm going to send out an email to all of our supervisors because I know not everyone's on here, and just let everyone know that too. And that was one thing that I didn't have down was the date that it was due by. So,
Right.
Libby, you just want that as soon as possible to get those modules done?
Yes, please. Yeah, I think you need to just for your own safety because I believe, and I had made myself a note to make sure of that, but I will double check. But I thought it was before you began supervising. So that would have been in September, but we understand that you can't do that. I mean, there's just a lot. So, if you can get it as soon as possible, I believe that that's fine. And I know we've got several taking the modules right now. Okay. But the tricky thing right there is just to remember that once you register, you have exactly 30 days to get it done. There are 3 modules, and one of the things I'm noticing in monitoring the supervision, taking the quizzes, is that people will sometimes, I think, take the first quiz and they assume that they've done all the quizzes in that one module. And there are like 3 in the first module and 2 in each of the others. And so then we're having to go back and say, oh, don't forget, there's more, there's more. So, but you get 0.3 CEUs or 3 hours. So that's really pretty good.
Do you have an estimate of how long it usually takes to complete all 3 modules?
I'd say 3 hours.
Okay.
They're about, let's see, I'm trying to think. Most of them are 20 to 30 minutes long. And then the quiz, and you have to get 100% on the quiz. And so, yeah, I'd say about 3 hours.
Okay.
Yeah. But the nice thing is you can do it on, other times. And you know, if you want to do it at 2 a.m., you can.
Gotcha. And you can break it, like you can start it and take a quiz and then stop and then come back. Will it keep your place?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
All right, that makes it a lot less crazy to complete.
Oh,
That's why I
absolutely.
think I put it off, because I'm like, oh, when am I
Right,
gonna
like
get
when
this
do I
done?
have
Like,
this
sit
block
down.
of time that I can't be interrupted?
Exactly. No, you can. Now, I think, I can't say for sure, you might have to do one at like complete a section, like a
Right.
15-minute section because I don't know it's going to save your place on the video.
Okay.
But as it relates to the quizzes, for example, if you're, you know, if you took the quiz and you only got 80% because you do have to get 100 and you want to come back and take the quiz again, it'll save that.
All right,
Perfect.
that's great.
Thank
That helps a lot.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think I missed the boat on these supervision modules as well, so I'm going to register for them. But we do these even if we've already gotten our ASHA supervision.
Oh, no, I don't think you have to do that. Now let me check that with Leanne. She was hoping to be able to join us, but she had another call. The main thing is that you had to get your ASHA ones, you know, and I
Yeah,
believe
I
that's
did the
2
ASHA
hours.
before I started supervising. So I just
Yeah.
didn't know if these were in addition to that or if it was like an either or situation.
The only thing I'm thinking that might be, I know there's some sort that I can't think of the law, the West Virginia document, or that Ashley, maybe you can help me. I know there's typically something that you have to complete. It's 5309 or something. Do you know? Okay.
Yeah, there is, I'm trying to think of what it's called. But there's another component that you have to have. It's slipping my mind right now.
Yeah, mine too.
Oh my gosh.
So that might be the only thing, JC. I mean, as far as the ASHA requirements, you've done the big thing because you've done what you had to do to start supervising.
Okay.
But I'm wondering about the West Virginia requirements because they are allowing this in lieu of. So let me find that out and I'll post that in our team.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
I am good.
Well,
Nope,
it's
I'm
so
good
great.
now too.
Well, I so appreciate you all taking the time, and I hope this was helpful. And we will just, I've got to jump off here and get on with the SLPAs. So I will talk to you guys later, and I will make sure that I get that question answered. And talk
It's
to you later.
ethics. It's the ethics.
Ethics,
Like you
yeah.
have to take an ethics course. Yeah, that's it.
Yes.
I was like, it was right on the tip of my tongue.
All right. Well, thank you guys. And I will talk to you all next month or sooner if you have other questions.
Sounds
Thank
great.
you
Thank
very
you.
much. Have a good weekend.
You too.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.
Hey, Libby,
Uh-huh.
this is Lori. I am so sorry. I forgot.
Oh, no. Well, you know what? If you want to join the SLPA one,
Well, I have a